Meet this guy named Ankit Kokar from Bagpat, Uttar Pradesh, a state known for its high crime rate in India. Despite this, Ankit kept his nose clean, focusing on his studies. He then moved to the bustling city of Ghaziabad in Uttar Pradesh to do his PhD. He made some great friends there and dreamt of furthering his education in Germany after his PhD. But a tragic event occurred that will give you goosebumps. Let's start from the top. In 2013, Ankit faced a heartbreaking loss when his parents passed away. Being an only child, he found himself alone and somewhat isolated. Seeking a change and the opportunity to continue his studies, he made the decision to leave his ancestral home in Bagpat and relocate to Ghaziabad. It was here, during his PhD journey, that he formed a close-knit group of 6 friends. They became his new family, spending their free time together and staying connected through WhatsApp and other social media platforms. While studying, Ankit thought about selling his ancestral home in Bagpat since he was living in a rented house and had no siblings. At that time, he was renting a house from a man named Umesh Sharma. Ankit started looking for a good dealer to sell his house and eventually found one. He sold his house for 10 million Indian rupees and deposited the money in 2 different banks. When Umesh, Ankit's landlord, found out about this, he asked Ankit for a loan of 4 million rupees to start a business. He promised to return the entire amount with interest once his business was up and running. Ankit had been living at Umesh's place for a while and trusted him enough to lend him 4 million rupees from his savings. Everything was going smoothly until October 7, 2022. That's the last day Ankit was seen by his friends and landlord. His phone was switched off for 3 days, which was unusual. When his phone came back on, he wasn't attending college or talking to his friends on calls, just chatting on WhatsApp. Since Ankit didn't have any family, no one knew where he had gone. His friends, who he spent most of his time with, started to get suspicious. 2 months later, they decided to take matters into their own hands. They thought Ankit might have gone to visit relatives since he was active on WhatsApp and regularly in touch. But over time, they noticed changes in his chatting style. He wasn't answering calls and his messages had many spelling mistakes, which was odd considering Ankit was well educated and pursuing a PhD. The search for Ankit started from here. His friends first went to Umesh, who told them Ankit left the house with his bag 2 months ago. They then visited his ancestral home in Bagpat and learned from neighbors that he had sold his house for 10 million rupees. This made them suspect that someone might have kidnapped him for his money. They returned to Ghaziabad and went to the police station to file a missing person report. They told the police they were Ankit's close friends and last saw him 2 months ago. They also mentioned that Ankit recently sold his house for 1 million rupees, hasn't been answering calls for 2 months, and his messages had spelling errors. This made the police suspicious, and they registered Ankit's missing report and started their investigation. The police, suspecting a money-related kidnapping, first checked Ankit's bank account. They found that money had been withdrawn from his ATM card in different cities from October to December. When they traced his mobile location, they found he had been traveling continuously for several days. This led them to believe Ankit might have gone on a trip. They tried to reassure Ankit's friends, saying Ankit had probably gone exploring. However, when Ankit's friends insisted on seeing the CCTV footage from the items where the money was withdrawn, the police checked the surveillance cameras. They noticed something odd every time money was withdrawn. The person was wearing a mask, making it hard to identify him. When the police showed the CCTV footage to Ankit's friends, they observed the person's physical appearance and features. They told the police that the man in the footage wasn't Ankit. The police then started searching for Ankit, first reaching out to Umesh Sharma, Ankit's landlord. Umesh repeated the same story he had told Ankit's friends, but the police noticed he seemed nervous. The police searched Umesh's house and called in a forensic team. In Ankit's room, they found some blood stains. They also found a saw with blood stains in Umesh's house. This made the police suspicious, and they decided to interrogate Umesh in custody. They initially questioned him casually about Ankit, but as they started doubting his statements, they began a more rigorous interrogation. Umesh couldn't keep up the lie for long and finally spilled the truth. When he learned that Ankit had sold his house for 10 million rupees, he initially borrowed 4 million from him. But then he started worrying about how he'd repay it. This worry didn't last long as he came up with a plan to get the remaining 6 million from Ankit. Umesh, who used to work as a compounder with an orthopedic doctor, was skilled in using a saw to cut plasters. On October 7, 2022, when Ankit came to his rented house, Umesh drugged him with sleeping pills and a juice. Once Ankit was unconscious, Umesh used his saw to kill him and dismember his body. He left the body parts in Ankit's room for a day, then disposed of them in different parts of the city the next day. Umesh thought he could get away with the murder since Ankit had no family. After killing Ankit, he kept Ankit's bank passbook, credit and debit cards, and mobile phone. 3 days after the murder, Umesh turned on Ankit's phone and started chatting with Ankit's friends. Realizing they would try to find Ankit, Umesh involved his friend Pravish in the crime. Pravish continued chatting with Ankit's friends and withdrew around 2 million rupees from Ankit's account, transferring it to Umesh's account. Umesh used this money to pay off some debts and start a new business. But when Ankit's friends became suspicious, Umesh was eventually caught. Umesh admitted to the police that he got the idea from some movies and had burned his and Ankit's clothes to remove any blood traces. But he didn't account for Ankit's close friends, who solved the mystery of their friend's disappearance and murder. Hats off to Ankit's best friends. This case teaches us the importance of having friends who care for us and can support us in times of trouble. If you appreciate our efforts, please like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so now. Thank you.